I think most people don't realize they have all their data. Even a company of our size, we have 50,000 contacts in our database. We have enough. It's how we use it.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that. Both Forrester and Forbes mentioned this. Kathy mentioned it in the article as well. But between 60 and 73% of all corporate data goes unused for data analytics. So it's not that you need to buy more storage or buy more information in the storage. It's how you use it. So it's no different than people are trying to lose weight. They have to change a behavior change, both eating and exercise, obviously. And I'm not a topic person on that. But if 60 to 73% of your information is trapped, and meaning not being used for data analytics, it's finding new and different ways to use that. And it's pennies on the dollar. So you're investing small bags of money for big bags of money. In fact, even during Kathy's interview, that was a very telling point. And you had mentioned insurance world or financials. An example, I carry a credit card. Most people have a credit card. If you're really cool, you put your credit card on your phone. I do both, but I usually use my card because it has a chip in it.
Yeah.
You mentioned opportunity cost. We happen to provide what we call quantitative analytics benefits through Weka to one of those credit card providers in New York City. It could be anywhere, or it could be a smaller version of that company. One of the benefits they provide is if I go in, and I'm sorry, I suffer from allergies. I'm probably not the only person who's listening to who has allergies. But if I go in and buy, Claritin D, and I apologize, I'm not saying it's the best, but if I buy Claritin D, again, here I go, talk about waiting. I have to wait behind a counter to get it.
Yeah.
If for whatever reason I wait behind a counter and they're out of stock, and then I have to go to another CVS, then another CVS because it, one closed or whatever, I could be viewed as someone trying to aggregate in my little town all the Claritin D to eventually become a meth dealer. I'm not a meth dealer. I'm really not a felon. I'm just someone who wants relief from my allergies.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the right data analytics and you don't use it the right way, those huge Fortune 500 companies could give you the inconvenience of a false positive. And they could actually stop me from buying a $20 container of Claritin D. Yeah. So finding out the false positives, and it's funny you mentioned that, it's not just stopping fraud, it's stopping the inconvenience of opportunity cost. So I convince brand loyalty to stay with my credit card. So they'll send me a text going, is it you? And I know they're doing a lot of advertisements here and you can see them on almost every football game. Is it really you trying to buy Claritin D? Or is it really you at CVS or whatever it is? So my point being is I'm not trying to tell people buy more storage. I'm not trying to tell people buy more data. It's try to use it in a different way that you would be amazed. It's pennies on the dollar. It's a different way to use a competitive advantage. Lee, you lead it up, but I was in IT in the mid 90s when ERP came out.
Yeah.
And a company out there called SAP led that charge.
Yep.
And the phrase was, if you're not doing ERP now, you're losing to somebody who is. I think the soundbite that you might have out of this is if you haven't started an AI initiative now, even if you're a Russell 2000, if you're an SMB, even if you're a higher educational, you don't have to be an Ivy.
Right.
If you're anybody, if you're not doing an AI initiative now, you're losing to someone who is using it now.
Yeah.
And we actually had a customer in Oklahoma, a quarter ago, got going with their first AI initiative. And they're a public sector. They work off donations. They got it going for $51,000.
Yeah.
Imagine that. $51,000, including the actual processor, the Weka parallel file system, because in order to make something work with AI, you really need three things. You need a fast network, you need a parallel file system, and you need a very fast processor, sometimes a GPU.
Yeah.
And you can get that as little as $51,000 for all of those, which is really kind of convenient. So to answer your question, I think people are cognizant of the executives as we come out of COVID, or are getting to get out of COVID, that if you're not working on an AI initiative now, you're losing to somebody who does.
Yeah.
That helps.
Forrester actually has numbers on that. They'll say they estimate the amount of revenue that's going to be taken by a data-driven competitor from someone who isn't. So it's definitely, we're early, so it's not intuitive to most people, but it will be. I agree with that, absolutely.